Welcome to the Quantum Collective.
All right, welcome back. It's been a while since I've made a video, but I've been working on this project the past couple of weeks on making a recipe calculator that had all of your possible calculators and stuff you would need in one place, an integrated recipe calculator. And I'm done with version 1. I have released it and I'm excited to show y'all what I came up with and how to use it. So today I'm going to walk you through a little bit about how to use it and everything. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you open it up is go to File and make a copy, because you're not going to be able to edit anything, or you shouldn't be able to, because I went ahead and made it a view only, so that people weren't changing the original. Now I've already made my own copy, so I'm not going to go through and do that, but it's pretty simple. After you make your copy, you'll see your introduction screen. And the very first thing you're going to want to do, and my copy is actually old, so I need to go in and change this on here. You're going to want to go to A19, and anytime you edit something that it doesn't want you to, it's going to give you a heads up. You're going to go to A19 on Mead Tools Volume 1. Which is right here. And you're going to change this to match the link that you have up here. And the reason you're going to want to do that is because it pulls the PDF based off of your URL. So you've got to have the correct URL for your copy down here, otherwise it's going to pull off the original. So I have put in my URL, so now this download PDF link is going to work properly. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you want to, we're going to test out putting in a recipe. So I'm going to start with a traditional. That's not really what this calculator is built for, but it definitely still works for this. So I'm going to build out a traditional mead with, let's say I'm doing a 1 gallon batch. So I'm going to do 2.5 pounds of honey, right? And I want it to be a gallon batch. And one of the only disadvantages to this calculator is that it calculates total volume, but it calculates it based without solids. So sometimes the honey numbers that you get are a little off from what's expected. It's saying 2.5 gallons is a quart. It still works as long as you get your total volume correct. So I want a gallon. So I'm going to go in and put 0.75 gallons of water, so that now I'm up to a total volume of a gallon. So it's telling me that my estimated OG is going to be 1089. And then the other thing that I need to make sure that I do on this page is put in an estimated FG. So I'm just going to put 1. Okay, so it's telling me that if I have start at 1089 and I finish at 1, that's 0 bricks, I'm going to have 11.76% ABV, which is 53 Dell units. So not stable on its own, but that's neither here nor there. That's just all the information it gives you. So now I'm going to go over to the NutrientCalc, and you should be able to see that it's already put in my gravity and the bricks and the volume and everything from the first page. And I'm going to go in and put in my own yeast. Let's say I wanted to use MO5. So I'll click on Mangrove Jack. And then I've got a bunch of Mangrove Jack yeasts in this box. It's actually stuck on the Lalvin one right now, so let me try that again. Now here's my Mangrove Jack yeast. I'm going to click MO5. Now when I click off, I can see that it auto-populates my nutrient requirements, which is medium, and my ABV tolerance for MO5 is 18, because we're suspecting that it's K1V1116. There's nothing in my offset ppm, because it only does that when I add fruit. And let's say for my nutrient schedule for this one, I wanted to do TOSNA. So when I click on TOSNA, all of my Ferment K and DAP is going to go away, and it's going to tell me how much Ferment O I need. There's some additional Ferment O that you're also going to need, because this is set to 0.45. I should honestly go in and change this to where when it's Fermate O only, it does higher than this. So I don't even need these boxes, but that's neither here nor there. It tells me how much GoFirm I need, and everything. So for Tosna, I'm going to want to do 4 additions. So I'm going to change this to 4. And you can see it tells me what all 4 of my additions will be, how much to add. And I am going to be stabilizing this batch. So I'm going to keep this as yes. But if I put it as no, these numbers disappear. But it tells you uh, uh, the amount of sorbate you'll need for the alcohol you have and the amount of K-meta you'll need to stabilize. This is just based off of 50 parts per million because that's a safe estimate regardless what your pH is. And then I want to go in and download my recipe sheet. So I'm going to make a download of this, and it's going to download automatically, and it opens it up. And you can see it's going to name it based off of the sheet. You'll probably want to go in and change the name, but it's going to give me how much honey I'm adding, my estimated starting gravity, final gravity, both of those in bricks. It gives me my yeast and how much to add. It gives me my yeast tolerance, my expected ABV, 1/3 sugar rate, how many Dell units, how much Fermento I need to add, which I think I need to go in and add an additional box for the extra Fermento. So I'll go in and fix that at a later date. But stabilizers, it tells you 2, and then there's some additional boxes for additional ingredients and stuff, and then your notes boxes. So it's a 2-page PDF. So that's a simple traditional, but where this really gets its where this calculator really thrives is with fruit meads. So I'm going to show you a big fruit mead, um, and I'm going to do a much bigger batch. So let's say I wanted 24 pounds of honey, and let's go with blackberry today. Why not? So if I'm using 24 pounds of honey, I'm probably using double that in berries, so 48 pounds of berries. And you can see it's going to show me my expected gravity and everything, but I need to go in and remove this water because I don't want to add any water. So now it's going to show me my total volume minus the solids is 7.52. Now, that's not including any of the fruit pulp or anything like that. So the thing you really want to note is that your fermenter volume needs to be way bigger than that. So for batch this size, I suggest probably a 10-gallon fermenter. You definitely won't be able to get away with 8 because your total volume with the solids is probably going to be closer to like 9 gallons for something like this. And also, it's not going to finish at 1.11 or 1.000. So I'm going to go in and change that to, let's say, 1030 because that's about where it's probably going to stop. And then it tells me that's 14.27%, 72 Dell units. That makes sense. And I'm done here, so I'm going to go in and change the yeast. So I want Lalvin BM 4x4 because that's my favorite yeast for stuff like this. It tells me the tolerance, pulls the volume from the previous page, tells me the bricks, puts in the offset ppm automatically based off the amount of fruit that you have. That's using the very simple, calculation that we use all the time, which is 25 ppm of yan per gallon or per pound of fruit per gallon. So 160 is pretty par for the course for no waters. And then for this, I wanted to do Fermade Can DAP because that's typically what I do. And it changes everything over to Fermade Can DAP. And then I typically do 3 additions, so I'm going to change it to 3 additions, and now it gets rid of that 4th, tells me my 1/1 sugar break, tells me go firm. I'm not going to use stabilizers for something like this. I will end up using some K-Meta, but as you can see, this amount of sorbate is really small. That's 1.64 grams for a 7-gallon batch, so that's not any at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and click no, and that's because the ABV is so high. It tells you your target in and your offset and everything, and it subtracts this to figure out how much you need for your nutrients. And everything's good here, so now I'm going to go ahead and download my recipe sheet again. And like I said before, it automatically gives it the name based off of whatever you name the sheet. So you could go in and save a copy of the whole thing for each recipe, or you could just change the name of your PDF printout, or however you really want to do it. But you can see it put in all of my ingredients. It has all of my stats here, everything, places for more stuff. Um, really functional stuff, so you can use your entire recipe. Now I wanted to show you that you can use all of these at the same time, all 8 of them at the same time, and the water. But instead of showing you a ridiculous recipe with all of that, I'm going to show you just a couple of the extra features on here. So if you wanted a custom ingredient, you can enter the stats in these boxes. Um, you can name it whatever you want. So let's go with golden raspberries. Say I had golden raspberries and I took the, you know, sugar content in bricks and it came out to 5%. And then the water content I'm going to estimate, and this is just me making something up. I don't actually know the stuff off the top of my head. Let's say the water content was 85%. Now I go in and I scroll to the bottom of my list and it's got my numbers for golden raspberries, and you can see it auto populated everything here. And the way this works is it goes and puts it on a sheet that's hidden. So I'm going to show you that sheet right now, but I don't usually recommend going through and messing with this stuff. So it's on the master sheet, and the master sheet is set up to automatically put whatever you put in that box on the end of this list. Now if you go in and change it back, it'll you know this will disappear. But if you wanted to go in and put your own custom ingredients that you say you were using an ingredient that I didn't have, or if you wanted to go in and change any of these, you can do it on this page. But anything you add, you can just add to the bottom row and it'll automatically show up in the drop down. um, so that's pretty neat. Let's say you wanted to use juice for something, you can just go in and change your water to juice, and the easiest way to do that is to just come in and change the sugar content. So if I change the sugar content to 5, it's going to calculate that for the water too, and then you can add however much you want there. So that it allows you to use juice or fruits that aren't on the list and all of that. So I'm going to go back in and change all of that back to what it was so that it's not stuck like that in my calculator. But you get the idea of it's pretty powerful, and it'll go in and auto populate and change all of this stuff too. Um, Now let's say you wanted to use the nutrient calculator by itself. You can do that. So you just need to go in and put in the SG override, set it to, let's say I have a Mead that's 1.110. Okay, it's warning me because I'm not supposed to change that. It's still pulling the offset ppm from Mead Tools Volume 1. So I'm going to go in and clear it, and it's actually going to show up with an error when I do this, when I go back to NutrientCalc, because it's dividing by 0, because it's still pulling the offset ppm from this page. So what you're going to want to go in and do is you're going to want to also put in an offset override. So if I put in an offset override, now you can see my calculator works like it's supposed to. So let's say this 1.1 is, let's use a Red Star yeast. Let's use Premier Blanc. So it pulls up all my info for Premier Blanc. It doesn't have the volume set. So, ooh boy, I need a volume override too. Um, this will be updated by the time this video comes out. Um, this will be updated by the time this video comes out. So what you can do is you can either, there will be a volume override right here by the time this video comes out. So I am going to go back in and just for the sake of being able to use it, I'm going to put a gallon of water in here, and now it'll auto-populate the volume. So now it should give me the correct like nutrient numbers. But like I said, there will be a volume override that you will need to go in and put. And I'll probably put it right here, so it's filling up this space right here. Yeah, but there will be a volume override, so you'll just put it in right here, and that'll go from there. I So now you can use the thing by itself. Let's say I wanted to do DAP only, which it's going to give me a red thing because it's over a certain ABV. If it's over, if the 1/3 sugar break, if it's over a certain ABV, it's going to give you a warning for DAP, a DAP only. So, but that let's say that I just wanted to do that to figure out how much DAP I'm going to use. And you can see it's going over the 0.96 here, which you really, really don't want to do. So I don't actually recommend what I'm going to do right here, but I just want to show you in order to get this down to 0, you can use the overrides down here to change this. So change that to 2. And now the max is 2. It's using 1.03 and all of your total and everything. So you can use the nutrient calculator by itself. Let me go through and talk about these extra calculators too. So now I've got a bunch of extra calculators. So I have an ABV calculator. It's pretty self-explanatory. You put in your gravities and 1.0, and it tells you your gravity in bricks. It tells you your ABV. It tells you how many Dell units you need. And now there's also a sulfite calculator. So if you wanted to use that instead of using, the stabilizer function, or you wanted to calculate how like 25 ppm for racking, let's do that. So let's say I have a 3-gallon batch and I'm racking it over, and I want to add 25 ppm to protect from some oxidation. If you put all that in, it'll tell you I need to add 0.498 grams. Sorbate calculator you could use if you wanted to on a batch by itself, but to be honest, I'm gonna probably just use my built-in one on the thing. But let's say I had a 1-gallon batch and it's 10% ABV. I'm just gonna make this go away. It's gonna tell me that I need 0.76 grams of sorbate to stabilize a gallon batch. This is a blending calculator, and I'm gonna be honest, this is probably the weakest calculator on the whole thing, just because you can only use it in one direction. But let's say I want to fortify something with some bourbon. So I've got a 15% Mead, and I've got a gallon of it, and I want to see how much. I want to see what adding, bourbon's going to be 40%. I want to see what adding, I don't know, 0.12 gallons of bourbon, what that's going to do to it. So we give me 1.12 gallons, and now I have a 17% mead that was fortified with bourbon. So that's one way you could use it. You could use it to calculate two specific gravities together if you were blending something, all of that. Here's a refractometer calculator. If you need to read up on the correction factor in order to get what that is, but just leave it at the default if you don't know. And then you can put in your OG in either SG or bricks. Let's say I wanted to do bricks. Let's say I measured my mead to be 25 bricks at the start, and it's going to be pretty high at the end. So that's 1.106. Let's say I measured it to be 12 at the end. That is 1048, but refractometer needs a correction factor after alcohol is involved. So your actual final gravity would be 4.08 bricks or 1.016, and that also tells you your ABV. Now the final gravity has to be measured in bricks, which your refractometer is going to do anyway. And then this is just SG to bricks and bricks to SG. So if I had 1.1, it's going to tell me that's 23.75 bricks. And if I have, let's do the opposite to make sure this works properly. 23.75, and it gives me 1.1, so it works. I'm going to go in and fix this left align thing on the actual calculator too, because that drives me crazy. But and then this is a temperature correction calculator. So let's say I measured 1.1. Let's keep going with that number. And my current temp is 100 Fahrenheit. 100 Fahrenheit. And the calibration temp of my hydrometer is 68. So even though I measured 1.1, it's actually 1.106, and then it gives me my bricks too. So these are other calculators that I just thought would be handy, and I think it just adds to the overall goal of having everything in one place. So I'm actually going to go in and make a few corrections now that I went through this, and you'll have a copy of the updated Google Sheet in the description. I would appreciate any feedback. You can find me Larry_R on Discord. You can message in the comments here. Just get with me, tell me any feedback. I really want to make version 2 eventually, and I'd like it to be even bigger and better than what I've got going now. So I hope you enjoy. I hope it's helpful for you and your home brewing, and let me know what you think. Bye.